Hey everyone, Sean here, and today in this review, I wanted to sit down and talk about the Gen V episodes 4 and 5. 5 being pretty fresh on my mind. 4, I watched it last week at this point, as I record this, and I definitely wanted to talk about some things from episode 4, and of course, leading into episode 5. Perhaps I'll do spoilers later, but that really depends on the time I have here. But I do want to get the major stuff out of the way. That doesn't necessarily spoil things, but just talks about some elements from each episode. But so far, I think it's still consistent for the most part with these episodes. For Gen V anyway, adding into that the boys mythos almost, right, or pretty much. And I think it's really getting things going in a way. Starting from episode 4 featuring Tech Knight, finally we get to finally see the sort of Iron Man parody within the boys, right? And he's supposed to be known to wear a metal suit of sorts. It's supposed to be another robot suit kind of thing. And I don't know if in the comics he has powers or he is a soup of sorts, but in this one he definitely is, and he is depicted as a detective of sorts. He is very perceptive. He has very keen super senses of sorts to observe people when they're lying or whatever it is that's going on with them. He can detect like even the slightest sweat, adrenaline, eyes dilating, pupils dilating and stuff like that. He's very sharp on those things when it comes to people. Now, so he is pretty much, a soup, and judging from the fact that he has the ability to, well, break people, maybe it could be a flaunt or just a fake out or something like that to intimidate his interrogatees, I guess you could say, or his subjects. Could be a part of what Tech Knight is, but I believe he's supposed to have some sort of suit in that iteration as well as the comics. So it's safe to say that this is almost a one-to-one iteration of him, even like the certain parts of Tech Knight. Yes, they're all there. So I will say though, for this episode, I love how the jokes sort of tie together by the end of Tech Knight, and I don't think we'll see him again. Minor spoilers, but there is a funny reason why that happens, and it's very funny to me anyway. To the point where I just had to go back and rewatch the episode for episode 4, specifically because of those jokes that were kind of planted throughout the show or this episode, and which involves with his little show within the show kind of thing, which is like the those like crime documentary shows, kind of like cold case files and something like that. Tech Knight does a really good job, or the actor for Tech Knight does a really good job parodying that type of TV show. It's just really funny, and the whole truth, right? It's just so funny of why he did these things, some of the actions he does. Like if you look at him again, you kind of like notice stuff again that you probably didn't notice before, or you didn't really pick up on it, or you didn't really think about it. But once the joke sort of lands, you go back and be like, oh, so that kind of thing. And I went back and just like all those things really like laid it out for me, and it was just so funny. Like yes, it is known in the comic books as well, so that's why it's just so funny that the boys kind of like brings out these things for superheroes / supervillains, or just this whole superhero genre. It's just so funny. It's just satire, dark comedy / black comedy for you. That's the stuff I really like for shows like this, and it's just great. It's just great material that I think definitely fits within the boys, and I would love to see more of Tech Knight again, especially during season 4. Wow, we'll definitely see how much more of a part he plays in season 4 of the boys. So it definitely builds some sort of anticipation for that, and that, again, I definitely cannot wait. So, but anyways, that's like the first half, it felt like, for episode 4. Otherwise, episode 4 was definitely more about like Sam and Emma getting together because of what happened in episode 3, I believe. And it continues off from the incidents that took place in episode 3. And I thought that was also very, very extravagant. I guess that's one way to describe it without really spoiling things. But it did get confusing by some parts, though, during episode 4, especially with what's going on with Marie and Jordan. And that part, to me, I felt very confused. I felt, and I'm not trying to spoil things, I don't think it will play too much of a significant part of, I mean, I guess it does in some aspects, but the whole, as a major story plot thing, not so much. But it's just one of those things. I guess it's part of the character's arc or whatever for either Marie and Jordan. But that part, when that happened, it was very confusing. I just didn't really feel the connection between these two characters. Other than the fact that, yes, Jordan keeps kind of like following around Marie just to make sure nothing happens to her, but doesn't really show sort of the grand scheme of things, the grand context of things, I guess, for right now. So right now I'm confused. I don't really buy it. I don't really feel that connection with these two characters. So I guess maybe we'll have to wait and see, but episode 4 overall was another good one. It's very consistent, I felt. Just that weirdness that happens between Marie and Jordan, it just kind of comes out of nowhere for me anyway. I didn't feel that, there was those like little pieces that come together like a puzzle kind of thing. Not yet anyway. So that's it for episode 4. I wanted to move into episode 5. I guess episode 4 would get like an 8 out of 10. I think it was just so funny with the Tech Knight stuff. But then you have this thing that goes on with the two characters. It's just, I'm a little more perplexed than anything right now. And I'm not finding anything profound because of that or as a result of that. So I'll leave that be until we get to the end of the season. But 8 out of 10 for episode 4. And then episode 5, that gets pretty juicy, and this is hard because I can't really spoil things, but basically I think it definitely is driving the plot more. Like, it definitely is getting things going. I do like where the characters currently are, right? Despite the sort of confusion that I just mentioned here. But again, maybe we'll see more of why that happened between Jordan and Marie. But I love this like confusion thing going on. A game of like, who is the perpetrator, Among Us kind of stuff. It's just a mystery, really, right? And who really did it? There's a red herring involved, and I like that sort of like goose chase kind of feel within this episode. I like the comedy, of course, along the way, but this is definitely more on the serious side of things, of course, with what happens by the end and what happens, with the revelation of why or how this happened, blah blah blah. Who is kind of like pulling the strings almost, and such like that. And my only thing, though, at this point with this series as a whole, is that Gen V for me was going to be portrayed, I thought, as a battle royale, and I don't really see the battle royale-esque nature of it right now. In the beginning, it seemed like it was going to set up for that, but it becomes like a conspiracy type of thing to uncover for the school or whatever, right? The school is doing something. We gotta uncover this and show the truth to the world, kind of thing. And not so much really like a battle royale to fight for the ranks and such like that. I really thought it was going to be like that because it was portrayed that way. And even on the Wikipedia, it says that, oh, it's a battle royale kind of thing. And it definitely does not feel like that for right now. It's just more of like a mystery, thriller, drama with superheroes and such like that, with black comedy, satire, blah, 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 you name it, you know? So I don't really definitely don't feel that battle royale nature. Maybe by the time 6 through 8 rolls around, then it could start. But at this point, it just definitely does not feel like that. The marketing for it, or the whoever wrote the official description for it, I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if they like kind of mishap. There's some sort of mishap or whatever. It's just like it definitely does not feel like that. So that's my only sort of confusion with it. I don't want to take points away from it for right now, but if they said it was going to be a battle royale, but it isn't by the end of the season, then definitely that's going to dock some points, I guess, because it's like, you know, you gotta be a little more truthful than that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is going to be something, but for right now, you know, let's let it be. Let it do its thing for season 1, and then I'll place final judgment on that particular part. But otherwise, everything else is very interesting. It's building up. It's very, like I said, extravagant. It's definitely compelling. It's you know, there's this all these twists happening, sort of almost like left and right. And will this conspiracy be unveiled to the rest of the world, you know? And it definitely will be very, very much something to look forward to. And the sort of anticipation is definitely building. You know, I would like to see the bombshell that could possibly be happening with this university, you know? So that's all I can do for the review of itself for episode 4 and 5. Now I can kind of like freely say, you know, blah, 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 but like, I'll try to be brief with that part as much as possible. But anyway, if I'm going to give this also, not more like an 8 out of 10. I think, the set pieces and stuff like that, the action scenes were pretty good, I would say. Not the most memorable parts of it, except for the puppet show that you can kind of see in the trailer. Like there's some stuff, the puppet elements involved. That puppet scene was very graphic, let's just say. Like the implications are very graphic, but they definitely do that for, I guess, a reason to. Yes, we know that there is violence in it, but I think they wanted to just play around with it and have fun with it, with puppets. You know, these Muppets, right? These, you know, third-party Muppets almost. And I think it was a good show. It was very entertaining to see for that scene, and you know, this stuff that was happening with Sam and stuff like that. So that is definitely it for realsies on that part. I will definitely now go into spoilers. Again, it's an 8 out of 10 for both of them. They're both consistent and both great. There's nothing definitely outright like wrong with them, other than some things. But really, great show so far. Thus at this point. And so let me go into spoilers now. So thank you for tuning in for those who don't want to be spoiled. And then, of course, with people who want to stick around, I'll see you then. Okay, so I'll definitely try to be brief about the spoilers section of things. But just to give a little friendly reminder, this channel is a proud affiliate of Rogue Energy. I've had a number of their products at this point, or tried them out at least, and especially with some of their flavors, and I think especially with I believe the raspberry pineapple flavor, it definitely is interesting. It definitely has interesting notes to it. I will say though, the raspberry is brief, but the pineapple is very overpowering. Not in a bad way, but if you really like the sort of that pina colada sort of type of drink, definitely for you. With the hint of, I guess, raspberry on the front end, that type of stuff. It definitely has a interesting character to it in comparison to G Fuel. G Fuel is definitely like bam, throughout the drink. But Rogue Energy has like a front and a back end that are kind of different depending on what you get, I guess. But anyways, Rogue Energy, go get it. Awesome energy. The code will be in the description below or in the comments. Hawke525 to save 10% off of your purchase, as long as you click on that link in the description or the comments. So helps me out. You guys get some awesome energy. Thank you for considering that after this video. But anyways, spoiler time for episodes 4 and 5, and I guess some brief mentions of the previous episodes. But the one I did want to really talk about is the sort of evolving relationship between Jordan and Marie. I just don't buy it. Like, I just did not expect for them to be involved romantically. I mean, I just didn't really see the connections. I guess the fact that, Jordan is always like kind of like happen to run into Marie whenever she is in trouble or whatever, or like just telling her like, hey, that was stupid, or you're stupid for doing this kind of thing. They're trying to just tell Marie to be careful or whatever, whatever you're doing, be careful or whatever. Yes, it did start off a little sour because Jordan is the one who kind of sort of kicked her off the list from enrollment of a certain subject or whatever, right? She wanted to be a superhero, but was thrown into something else, I think. And that's why it starts off quite rocky, right? But then I just didn't really see the good in-betweens between the two, right? Nothing really happened during the first sort of night club getaway that they had when Luke was still alive, or Golden Boy was still alive, and Andre had that little fuck up with the club, with the bird thing that he accidentally shot into the girl's throat or whatever, the neck. And nothing really just happened too much. There's a lot of hidden implications, I guess, but it just doesn't it didn't do a best job of portraying any notes of Jordan caring about Marie over time, other than maybe the fact that Jordan started to feel for Marie because of what happened during the party or the get together, or the gala, or whatever you call it, where Marie finds out that Shetty is essentially using her for leverage for her personal stuff, right? Or for what she is trying to push out there, right? And Marie just did not want any of that, and just is upset and frustrated. And then Jordan's like, well, hey, what's it like to be up there or whatever, right? Because Jordan is number 5, and Andre and Marie are amongst the top ranks within that chart. And Marie just comes out and says the truth, hey, I actually, you don't know me, or you have no idea, I killed my parents when I found out about my powers and stuff like that. So maybe then Jordan starts to feel for her because of what went on with their lives, especially with her father and stuff like that, right? Because I believe Jordan was born male, right? But then when Compound V kicked in for Jordan, Jordan was able to change their gender, and Jordan wants to go with the female gender, right? So wants to be called wants to be referred as a she or whatever. But goes back and forth with the gender. So I'm just gonna go with they for right now, right? So they're essentially kind of like two people, right? I mean, so that's why I think they and stuff like that is kind of appropriate, especially with the powers, so that I think that's a little more appropriate in that particular case within this world, right? But anyway, So Jordan seemed, I guess, starts to feel for Marie, but doesn't do a good job like following that up throughout these episodes, and it's just because of this 8 episode sort of window, right? I guess they're trying to just like, just get things going and expecting for us to be like, oh, okay, to be accepted, right? But I just personally don't buy it yet. There were some notes, but it just doesn't do a good job like melding them and connecting them, tightly and stuff like that. So I don't personally buy it. Again, I'm like repeating myself, but I not yet. I just don't see it as strongly as maybe some other people do. But hey, all right, Marie and Jordan are going to be in a relationship at this point, I guess. They like each other. It's going to evolve one way or the other. Are they going to be rocky roads? Yes, absolutely, right. It is, I guess, interesting that they are together, and we're not sure if Marie likes the male side of Jordan or doesn't mind the female side of Jordan, because Jordan would like to be female but uses the male side to get to her, kind of thing. Even one of the I forget his name, but the invisible dude even pointed that out to a degree, and Jordan has that in mind, right? So that definitely is going to be intriguing of itself to see where Marie lies, right? Does Marie just going to like the male side? Is she going to actually like the female side more, or just likes Jordan in general, just doesn't care, right? Like I love you or whatever. I really like you, man. Whatever you want to be, I don't care, kind of thing. But what if she does like the either male or female side? We never know. I mean, stories like that are possible to go those routes. But anyways, that's happening in one story, and then you have the stuff with Kate and Andre, right? But then, and then you have the stuff going on with Andre and his dad, right? Like there's this father-son complex relationship going on. He's there to please his dad, and he doesn't want to make him feel bad or anything like that. But over time, it's like it does become hard because his dad knew about the woods, and the woods is basically the underground facility that kind of seems like a mental asylum, but they are experimenting on these young soups, to find some sort of virus, which was unveiled during the 5th episode, that would help control these soups. Which is kind of like a safety net or a backup plan, that kind of thing, like a failsafe almost, in case these soups don't cooperate with Vought and stuff like that, right? And we've definitely seen that happening, meanwhile, in another story, right? So that definitely makes sense as to what this university really is now. It's a testing ground to help them control the soups, possibly in the future. And maybe we'll see some sort of variation of this virus to help control against, have like the good soups, right, be controlled and use them against the boys, right? Some stuff like that. And hopefully we won't see, adverse effects, and hopefully not horrifying permanent sort of impressions on these soups and whatever. But we'll see. So that was happening in episode 5. But yeah, there's plenty of other stuff going on, but I just wanted to definitely go over those ones. And of course, there's the thing about with Sam and Emma, right? Emma rescued Sam. It was supposed to be like a tracker operation, but Emma just wound up being like attached to Sam because, besides his cute looks, I guess, but the way he is, him as a person, even though he's developed some mental deficiencies with the social cues and stuff like that, because of Compound V, he and Emma are having, or we're having a good sort of connection going on until his episode that was kicking in real bad, and then he wanted to go kill like the head doctor of the woods, and that wound up failing, I think, because of course he didn't kill the doctor, but I guess in turn, right, like when our heroes, right, in the series tried to stop Sam, and I think they did, I believe they did it successfully. There was that abrupt ending, and then their memories were wiped from a few days ago all the way up to that point, because of, well, the actual perpetrator, Kate, right? She was I guess the only one that really didn't have adverse effects. They didn't really like talk. I don't think anyway. I'm forgetting, but I don't think she really showed like saying like, oh, I don't remember this stuff. I don't remember this stuff. I don't think anyway. Or she briefly pretended, of course, right? But Andre definitely, talked about it. Jordan was very vocal about it, and Marie, of course, was very vocal about it as well. So it does make sense. I do believe it. It does make sense because she was the only one there, whereas Rufus, I believe his name is, the psychic, the perverted psychic, where he can essentially do similar things with the mind, right? And manipulate them so that he can kind of control them in a way with his psychic powers and stuff like that, and telekinesis, but whatever, right? And well, telekinesis means you move things with your mind. Psychic powers vaguely means, yes, you can manipulate the mind and stuff like that, right? And yeah, so he can do those things to an extent, but he has to be touching them. He has to be close to them, right? And he wasn't there at the time, so how can that be, right? Unless he just appeared out of nowhere. But he was the red herring, and Kate was the perpetrator all along. Is in talks with Shetty, and Shetty is like manipulating her to believing that, well, she's protecting her friends doing this and blah blah blah. She just wants the best for them, but has that guilt and all that stuff because of Luke and all this stuff happening. And she was the one, of course, to help Luke forget that he had a brother, right, Sam, and to forget the pain and pretty much help him not kill himself a lot of times. But then I believe because she was doing that, he had these lapses of like these episodes of Sam when he was a kid, like calling him in his mind, right? The woods is real, blah blah blah, all that stuff, and he just went crazy in the end. So it just didn't really help all that much, really. It just made him insane in some other ways. Somebody implicated, right? Implied that it's not the mind that it's not just the mind that helps remember stuff. It's the body too. The body also helps remember stuff too, which is very fascinating of itself. I do like that line. That's one of those like kind of on the surface doesn't sound much, but it's pretty deep if you think about that. But anyway. So yeah, I mean, there's that whole thing with the party, and the right at the end of episode 4, Emma's powers also reveals that if she eats a lot, she gets big. So her growth powers really involved with how much food or how much calories she takes. So if she completely purges herself, she shrinks. But if she takes in a mass amount of calories, then she grows giant, much bigger. So pretty nasty iteration of the growth powers. Unfortunate for Emma, but You know, I guess it is what it is, and that's why she is careful with her calorie count, because if she takes too much, she gets big, and of course, if she um, doesn't take enough calories, she's a little smaller. You know, that type of stuff. So that's why, yeah. And then there's that stuff with going on with her mom, right? There's a lot of side plots going on, and they're all like adding up to for each of these characters, right? To see what they're coming from and with their powers and stuff like that, how that affects them at their daily lives. Meanwhile, though, yes, they were kind of like party animals, and we saw Emma being the giant now. She's like gaining a lot of popularity as a giant, really, rather than being small, you know. But of course, there's stuff going on with Jordan and Marie. Caught on camera from that one bitch, right? She's like that content creator who ran out and revealed Emma's like sort of secret, right, about how she uses her, how can she get her powers going, you know, how does she shrink and stuff like that. That ultimately starts the plot, right, of like, oh, I don't remember, you know, that type of stuff. It was really confusing too. I was like, what's going on here? I thought, cause like I thought Sam had some sort of like mind related powers, because of what was happening with Luke, right? I thought Sam was trying to call out to Luke, but you know, with his mental powers, that's why I thought he kind of like put our heroes in this like mental mind fuck prison thing, you know, in his house, especially with all the like the nasty stuff that was happening. But that was because I guess they were at some house, and they partied too hard, so it seemed like they partied too hard that they forgot, right, of what happened. And there's all this like weird slime stuff, but you know, it's just stuff from this other soup who was doing other like sexual activities with another soup, and they, you know, blow their load, right, literally. But anyway, so that's how it kind of starts, with them kind of like saying like, hey, what's going on? I don't remember stuff, right? And then up to that point, after the puppet stuff, right? And what else happened? You know, there's like some side plot going on with like, hey, I mean, you know, with Marie and Jordan, right? You know, hey, what's going on with you two? And then Marie is like, yeah, he said we're cool, or they said we're cool. And Emma's like, dude, just you know, tell them how you feel, that type of stuff. And because I guess Marie does like Jordan at this point, you know, whether I believe it or not, but you know, okay, she likes him, right? Or she likes them. And even, you know, they kind of have a hard time like calling Jordan like them, they at times, him, her, you know. Same with Jordan. Jordan is having a hard time with, you know, her feelings, you know, because she was a female at the time. Her feelings, and it explains them to the invisible dude, and the invisible dude is like, yeah, I mean, this is on you, because this is, you know, your situation, blah blah blah. So that's like kind of the side plot stuff going on at this point. And then it started to like kind of get really, really intense because of Marie, while talking to Emma, she felt something in her body because of her blood powers. And she managed to pull out a tracker. And they're like, oh shit, Rufus and Shetty and whatever the woods, right? They're tracking her and stuff like that. And then I guess all the people who were involved, right? The kids who were involved had trackers on them, so that's why she wanted to go meet up with the guys or whatever, her friends, to take away the tracker. But when she ran into Kate then reveals her true colors, right? But out of guilt, you know, she's guilty about it. and she's like, I'm sorry, blah blah blah, or that type of stuff. And by that time, right, now rewinding or fast forwarding back to the end, we now see Andre like about to kill him, right? Like he pins him to the wall with his powers. He's a kind of essentially Magneto, and throws the big scissors, right? The shears, pins him to the wall, about to kill him with the shovel, but then it's like, stop. Kate stops him because she can't take it anymore. She can't lie to her friends anymore, even though Shetty tried to talk to her and all that stuff, off to the side. But Kate reveals her true colors to the peeps, right, including Andre, of course. And Andre just like, what? And then Kate restores his memory, and then Andre's just like, you're a fucking monster, and just goes away. He walks off. This was not having it. So that's how it ends, I think. I believe everyone was there, or at least Marie and what's her face, Jordan, I believe, were there. That essentially how it ends. And it is going to be interesting to see what's going to happen next, of course. So along with Sam, everyone else too. Maybe that's where the battle royale is going to happen. But for what though? I mean, it just seems like they don't care for their rank at this point. I think they just want to just drop the bombshell for this university, man. And that's really all there is to it, unless they're just thrown into an arena. All right, one person can be free. You gotta kill each other or something. I don't know, but yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see. So that's all we got for the spoiler side of things. I just wanted to just kind of go over them, and and I thought all those points were very, very cool. I mean, at that point, with some weird little quirks and whatever in between, but the major plot points I think are pretty freaking interesting. I am intrigued. I am tied to the story. I am hooked onto the story, and I want to see the rest of it for this month. And I think this is a good spin-off thus far. Still pretty damn consistent. And I mean, is it a perfect show? No. I mean, it just had those weird little quirks I had mentioned, right? But I think it's due to time constraint, kind of just getting the story going. Kind of suffers from that. I really do wish this was like 12 episodes. It would have been perfect, or 10 even. But it's still good. It's still very it has that gravitas, right? So I'm hooked onto it. I definitely want to see how this goes, how this continues. But we still have 6, 7, and 8, so we definitely still have 3 episodes to go. So yeah. But thank you very much. That's all I got. You know the drill. Like, comment, and subscribe. Again, thank you very much. This has my review for episodes 4 and 5 of Gen V, the boy spinoff. Thank you very much, and hope to see you all in the next one. Sean out.